You have heard about different network components like router or gateway, or switch or hub, but what is the difference between those? Let's first have a look on hub and switches. Typically, a hub is nearly at the end of a network, and so some components like PCs or USB devices can be plugged in and are not connected on the other side to the network. And a hub is, let's say, stupid. It simply copies all information which comes in to all addresses, to all components, without differentiating which component has what kind of address. So it copies the information and spreads it to all outputs. A switch is quite similar. But the switch knows which component is behind each address. So when it gets some information from the outside, which is addressed to one of the components, let's say component A, then only component A will receive this information. By that, the overall network is more performant rather than the hub, because the hub simply copies each and everything. Now, what is a router? A router is more in the middle of a network. Yeah, so some things go like that, and on the other side, we have other components, and maybe something is going here. So the router knows where to send something. So if some packets come from this side, the router has a big routing table and knows, for example, if there is something to be addressed to A, then it has to go this way, whereas if it is addressed to D, it has to go that way. So the router is some big crossing in the middle of the network, which has an idea and has a table where all these ideas are implemented, where certain computers are lying. Finally, what is a gateway? The gateway is a component as well in a network, but it connects different kind of networks. For example, we have Wi-Fi on the one side, and we have DSL on the other side, and maybe we have Ethernet on a third side. Then these are different kind of technologies, but the gateway is able to talk each of these technologies and is able to send data which, for example, comes in from the Wi-Fi side and forwarded to the DSL side. Having said this, your DSL router at home is having two functionalities actually. First, it's a router because it's in the middle of a network and knows where to send packages to, but at the same time it's a gateway because typically it can talk Wi-Fi, Ethernet and DSL. And your PC is typically a switch as well, because it has several USB components connected to it, and it knows which signals, for example, it should send to the keyboard or receive from the keyboard, which of those it should get from the USB stick, and so on. So it can really differentiate and knows what device is behind what USB address. So in this sense, your PC is the core, is a switch of a small USB network.